What if I told you that the way you masturbated today could be the reason you're struggling in bed next week? It sounds dramatic, but I've seen it too many times in my 30 years as a urologist. Men who feel confused, frustrated, and quietly ashamed because they used to have full control over their sexual performance, and now they don't. Take Bill. He's 61, healthy, walks 3 miles a day, no major medical issues. But when he came to see me, his voice was low and his eyes were tired. He said, "Doc, I just don't feel like a man anymore. I can't last. I lose it too fast. I don't even feel turned on like I used to. What's wrong with me?" And after we ruled out the usual suspects, blood flow, testosterone, medications, we looked at something most men never think to mention: his masturbation habits. Turns out, Bill had been watching porn and finishing in under 3 minutes nearly every night. Not because he was overly horny, but because it became routine, fast, predictable, automatic. Sound familiar? You see, masturbation isn't just about release. It's a form of sexual training. And like any training, the way you do it shapes how your body performs when it really matters. So today, I'm going to show you how 3 common masturbation habits, ones you might not even realize you're doing, could be sabotaging your erections, shortening your stamina, and rewiring your brain to fail at the very moment you want to feel most alive. Stick with me, because once you understand the mistakes and how to fix them, you'll be able to take back control, reconnect with your body, and reignite the kind of sexual confidence that most men believe they've lost for good. Let's start with the first mistake. And it's one almost every man over 50 has made without knowing it. Mistake number 1, the rushing reflex: how speed trains premature ejaculation. Let's talk about the most common and most misunderstood mistake I see in men over 50: rushing through masturbation. For years, you might have thought it was harmless, a quick way to relieve stress. In and out, done and dusted. But what you may not realize is that this quick fix habit could be conditioning your body for failure. I had a 59-year-old patient, Kevin, who came to me completely frustrated. He said, "Doc, I don't get it. I last maybe 2 minutes with my wife, sometimes less, but I used to have control. What happened?" So we looked at his habits. Turns out Kevin had spent decades masturbating like a sprinter. Get it over with before the kids came home, before his wife walked in, before work started. And here's the key: the body learns what it repeats. That's the power and danger of neuroplasticity. When you constantly train yourself to reach orgasm in 2 to 3 minutes, your nervous system gets wired for speed. You condition your body to see arousal as a race, not a process. Then, when you're finally in bed with a partner, guess what happens? That finish fast reflex kicks in before you can even enjoy the moment. It's not just frustrating, it's disheartening. You start to think something's wrong with you. But here's the truth I always tell my patients: your body isn't broken. It's just following instructions you didn't realize you were giving it. The good news? You can retrain it. Start by treating masturbation like a slow dance, not a sprint. Set aside 10 minutes, turn off distractions, and focus on sensation. Breathe deeply, pay attention to your body's response, get close to climax, and then back off. This start and stop technique doesn't just delay ejaculation, it builds awareness and control. You're not just masturbating, you're retraining your nervous system to feel again, to last longer, and to reconnect with pleasure instead of pressure. Kevin tried this. Within a month, he came back smiling. "I'm not perfect," he said, "but I'm in control again, and that changes everything." And now that you understand how speed can sabotage your stamina, let's look at another silent saboteur, one that hides in plain sight, right behind your screen. Mistake number 2, the porn trap: when fantasy damages reality. Now let's talk about something many men rely on, but few talk about openly: pornography. For most of my patients over 50, porn started as a harmless habit, something quick, exciting, private. Just a little stimulation to get things going, they say. But over time, what begins as entertainment can quietly rewire your brain, changing the way you respond to arousal, pleasure, and even real-life intimacy. Let me tell you about Tom, a 63-year-old retired engineer. Tom had been happily married for over 30 years, but when he came into my office, he looked ashamed. "Doc," he said, "I don't get it. I still want to be with my wife, but I can't get hard. I used to be fine." After ruling out physical causes, we talked habits. That's when Tom admitted he'd been watching porn daily, sometimes twice a day. What he didn't realize was this: just like sugar hijacks your taste buds, porn hijacks your sexual reward system. It creates a hyper-stimulated environment, perfect lighting, perfect bodies, endless novelty. And the brain, especially the dopamine pathways, starts adjusting. Real touch, real intimacy, even real emotion, it just doesn't compare anymore. This is what's known as pornography-induced erectile dysfunction, PIED. It's not about morality or shame, it's neuroscience. Studies show that high-frequency porn use can dull your brain's response to real-life partners and make arousal harder to achieve without that digital stimulus. But here's the powerful part. You can reverse this. The first step is what I call a sensory reset. Try masturbating without porn for a week. Use only your imagination or focus on body sensations. Many of my patients find this uncomfortable at first, like Tom did, but within weeks, their sensitivity returns. Touch becomes meaningful again. Real connection starts to matter. Tom came back a month later and said, "I feel like I'm waking up, like I'm not numb anymore." That's the power of reclaiming your brain. So if porn has become your default, it may be time to take a break. Not forever, but long enough to remember how good the real thing can feel. And now, let's look at the third mistake. One that meant... Mistake number 3, the death grip. Why your hand might be hurting your performance. Let's move to the third mistake, and it's one almost no one talks about: how you physically touch yourself. Specifically, the pressure, speed, and repetition of your grip. It's known in the medical and sexual health world as death grip syndrome. Sounds dramatic, but it describes a very real issue I've seen with many men, especially those over 50. You see, most men learn to masturbate in secret, often in a hurry, and almost always in the same way. Same hand, same motion, same tight pressure. Over time, that specific, intense stimulation becomes the only way your body responds. The result? Regular sex with a partner, where the touch is softer, the rhythm less predictable, feels less satisfying, or even unresponsive. One of my patients, Paul, 58, put it perfectly. He said, "Doc, it's like I trained myself to only respond to me. My partner tries, but it just doesn't work the same." That's not a lack of desire. That's conditioning. The nervous system is incredibly adaptive, and when it receives the same type of intense stimulus over and over, it gets tuned to that pattern. Real intimacy? It doesn't hit the same neural buttons anymore. But here's the good news. Just like you trained your body into this state, you can train your way out. It starts with variation. Use a lighter grip, switch hands, change the pace. Use lubricant to mimic partner sex. Even try a condom during solo play to replicate more realistic sensations. These small changes retrain your sensory pathways to become more responsive to a wider range of touch, and that makes partnered sex more satisfying and natural again. Paul did just that. Within a few weeks, he noticed his arousal returned during intimacy. "It's like I've reconnected with my body," he said, "and with my wife." So if you've been stuck in the same physical routine for years, know this: you're not broken. You're just overtrained in one way. And now that we've covered the 3 most common mistakes, let's look at the bigger picture: how to build sexual habits that support not just performance, but lasting pleasure and confidence as you age. Emotional impact: how these habits affect confidence and relationships. Let's pause for a moment, not to talk about technique, but about what all of this does to your heart and your mind. Because beyond your hormones, your grip, or your habits, there's another layer men often overlook: the emotional toll these patterns can take. When sexual performance starts to slip, even just a little, it doesn't stay in the bedroom. It follows you to the mirror, into your marriage, into the quiet moments when you start questioning your own masculinity. I've had men, strong, successful, respected men, sit in my office and whisper, "I just don't feel like myself anymore." Not because of disease, not because of low testosterone, but because they've lost confidence in their ability to feel, to perform, to connect. Take Robert, 61, a retired Navy officer. He told me he started avoiding sex with his wife, not because he didn't love her, but because he was afraid he wouldn't get hard or that he'd finish too quickly. So he stopped trying. And with that came distance, misunderstandings, even resentment. Not just from her, but from himself. These habits, rushed masturbation, porn dependency, overuse of one kind of stimulation, they don't just change your physical responses, they chip away at your belief in yourself. They create performance anxiety, emotional withdrawal, and over time they isolate you from the very intimacy you crave. But here's the hopeful truth I always share. This can be reversed. When you start changing your habits, slowing down, reducing overstimulation, reintroducing mindful touch, you don't just retrain your body, you rebuild your trust, your confidence, your capacity to connect again without fear or shame. Robert made changes, small at first, a new routine, honest conversations, and slowly the spark returned, not just in his marriage, but in his sense of self. So if any part of you has felt disconnected, numb, anxious, or like you're failing, remember this: your sexual health is emotional health. You don't need to settle for silence or shame. You just need a reset. And in the next part, we'll talk about exactly how to do that, how to create a simple, powerful reset plan to rebuild your sexual vitality and reconnect with what matters most. The science of sexual rewiring. Why change is still possible after 50. You might be thinking, all of this sounds great, Doc, but I'm in my 50s, 60s, even 70s. Can I really change how my body responds at this age? The answer, backed by science and years of clinical experience, is a resounding yes. Because your brain and your sexual system are far more adaptable than you think. Let's talk about a concept called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to rewire itself, to form new neural pathways even late in life. And it doesn't just apply to learning languages or recovering from injury. It applies to your sexual health too. You see, every time you repeat a sexual habit, rushed climax, same fantasy, same grip, you strengthen that pattern in your nervous system. But here's the good news. New patterns can be created. And just like a muscle, the more you practice the new habit, the stronger it becomes. Take David, a 67-year-old patient who came to me struggling with delayed ejaculation. Years of high-friction solo habits had conditioned his body to only respond to one narrow type of stimulation. We worked together on a gradual reset, slowing down, removing visual distractions, introducing new sensations, even breathing techniques. It didn't change overnight, but over 3 months, his body began to respond differently. He regained sensitivity. He started lasting longer. Most importantly, his confidence returned. That's the power of neuroplasticity. Your body is not set in stone after 50. It's responsive if you give it the right signals. Now, is it always easy? No. You'll face frustration, setbacks, maybe even doubts. But those are signs of change in motion. Think of this as training, not fixing. And like any training, consistency matters more than perfection. So don't let age define your possibilities. Don't believe the myth that this is just how it is now. Change is absolutely possible, not just physically, but emotionally, hormonally, intimately. Coming up next, I'll walk you through a simple, practical 7-day reset that you can start today to rewire your body for deeper, more lasting pleasure. Practical routine, a weekly plan to reset your sexual health. Now that you understand why change is possible, let's talk about how to start. Because knowing is only half the battle. What you need is a plan, something real, doable, and grounded in how the body and mind actually work. So, here it is. A 7-day reset routine designed to begin rewiring your sexual response, rebuild control, and reconnect with your body in a new, healthier way. Day 1. Awareness. Spend a few quiet minutes reflecting on your current habits. how often you masturbate, how fast, what triggers you, what you watch. Don't judge yourself. Just observe. Awareness is always the first step to change. Day 2. Slow it down. If you do choose to masturbate, commit to taking your time. Set a timer for 10 minutes and focus on staying below the point of climax. Use deep breathing, slow movements. If you feel pressure to finish fast, pause. This helps undo years of rush conditioning. Day 3. Screen-free challenge. Try going without porn for one session. Use memory, imagination, or sensual audio instead. This challenges your brain to reconnect with subtler, more natural stimuli and begins reversing desensitization from visual overstimulation. Day 4. Switch it up. Change the physical pattern. Use your non-dominant hand, add lubricant, vary your position. The goal isn't to make it feel better, but to help your body unlearn its dependency on one exact routine. That flexibility will pay off in real intimacy. Day 5. Practice touch without expectation. Spend a session just exploring pleasure, without aiming for orgasm. Touch yourself or let your partner touch you with curiosity, not pressure. Learning to separate arousal from climax is a powerful way to rebuild stamina and deepen connection. Day 6. Journaling and reflection. Write down what you're noticing physically, emotionally, mentally. Are you feeling more connected? More frustrated? More relaxed? Every sensation is data. Every emotion is a clue. This builds mindfulness, which is crucial for sustainable change. Day 7. Intentional pleasure. Now combine it all. Slow pacing, varied technique, no screen, deep breathing. This time, allow yourself to climax, but only when you feel fully present and in control. This is a reset orgasm, the kind that trains your body to associate pleasure with awareness, not rush or fantasy. Repeat this 7-day routine for 2 to 4 weeks, and you'll start noticing changes. Better sensitivity, stronger control, clearer confidence. This isn't a miracle fix. It's the start of long-term transformation. And now that you have a roadmap to reset your sexual response, let's wrap up with the one truth I want every man to hear. Final message. It's not too late to reclaim your masculine power. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's this. It is not too late. Not too late to feel good in your body. Not too late to enjoy intimacy. Not too late to reclaim the sense of power, confidence, and connection that comes from healthy sexuality. You've probably been told directly or indirectly that after 50 it's all downhill, that it's normal to lose drive, feel less like a man, and quietly let go of this part of your identity. But let me tell you, from decades of medical experience and thousands of honest conversations with men just like you, that belief is false, and it's costing you joy. You are not broken, you are not beyond repair, and you are not alone. Whether you're dealing with premature ejaculation, low libido, erectile dysfunction, or just that vague feeling of disconnection, you're not doomed to live with it forever. Your brain can rewire, your hormones can respond, your heart still wants what it always wanted: connection, pleasure, purpose. But you have to take the first step. That might mean trying the 7-day reset, talking to your doctor, opening up to your partner, or simply deciding to stop treating your sexual health like an afterthought. Because here's the truth. Masculinity isn't about performance. It's about presence. It's about being here, alive, awake, and choosing to invest in the parts of yourself that still burn bright. You can train your body to respond again. You can enjoy sex without fear or frustration, and you can become the man who walks into his later years, not shrinking, but expanding. So if this message resonated with you, don't just scroll past it. Own it. Comment, "I'm ready," if you feel something awakening. Or 0 if you still have questions, because you're not alone, and I'm here to help. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with a brother or friend who might need it too. Because this isn't just about sex, it's about life, and you've got a lot more of it left to live. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and never stop believing in your power.